Hi students, I am Dr. M. Ashraf Majroo, Professor of Community Medicine. I welcome you in the learning session of Public Health Screening. This is the ninth session on epidemiology. The agenda of this session include concept of public health screening, selection of health problem for screening, screening and health spectrum, screening benchmarks, screening strategies, screening fallacies, validity and reliability of the tests, prerequisites for screening program. Let's take the agenda points one by one. According to WHO, screening refers to the use of simple tests across an apparently healthy population in order to identify individuals who have risk factors or early stages of disease but do not yet have symptoms. The keywords in the definition are the simple tests. Simple tests mean low-cost, non-invasive tests that can be applied over large population and communities. Then apparently healthy population not showing symptoms may be healthy or may be sick. And then the risk factors. The risk factors are related to host factors, agent factors and are the environmental factors, and they synergistically cause the disease. Then the early stages of disease mean the pathogenic phase, also referred as detectable preclinical phase, abbreviated as DPCP. How we select the public health problem for screening. Let's see the salient features of a public health problem for screening. Problem with high prevalence and population impacts are selected for screening. Effective remedy must be available to reduce the morbidity and mortality of the disease. Screening tests can detect the disease prior to symptoms must be available. Expected benefit must be more than the risks and the cost incurred on screening program. Disease must have longer latent or incubation period to provide sufficient time for screening and intervention. The test with optimum sensitivity and specificity must be available for the selected public health problem. So let's see the examples of screening. Screening of school children for visual defects. Another example, mammography in women aged 40 years and above. Still another example, newborn screening program for metabolic disorders. Similarly, screening for familial cancers, hypertension and diabetes mellitus. Screening of HIV in high-risk group is also a good example of screening program. So if we see the role of screening in public health interventions, this infogram is showing a pre-pathogenic phase and a pathogenic phase which is divided into early pathogenic and late pathogenic phase. If we relate these pathogenic phases with the clinical spectrum, the pre-pathogenic phase is generally free from sickness, no sign and symptoms, and similarly there is an early pathogenic phase where the sign and symptoms are not there but the disease process is there. This is the unrecognized sickness, and this is the time where the symptomatic sickness occur and patient complain for symptoms and signs. This is the late pathogenic phase. If we look at the intervention, first intervention in public health is the primordial prevention, avoiding the appearance of risk factor, and they are usually population based and no need of screening for this. On the other hand, the primary prevention is another intervention in pre-pathogenic phase. Here, the reduction of risk factor before appearance of disease or injury. Here, the screening has the role to detect the preclinical disease conditions. The secondary prevention, this is the most important area where the screening can be used for public health intervention, and this will recognize between free from sickness and unrecognized sickness, detection and treatment of diseases in pre-symptomatic phase. Then in tertiary prevention, the treatment of diseases to reduce disability and restoration of functions. This is the phase, late pathogenic phase, where there is no role of screening. And if we see in this health spectrum and the public health intervention strategies, the screening is interplaying at this point of time in primary prevention as screening for pre-disease conditions. And on the other hand, this is the landmark screening for diseases. And this is to differentiate between free from sickness and unrecognized sickness. So here is the most important role, and the screening will differentiate between these two categories, and the secondary prevention is most important intervention where the screening is a major tool for public health intervention. So let's see the screening strategies. If we talk about the screening strategies, these are the mass screening program, high-risk screening, multiphasic screening, multi-purpose screening, and opportunistic screening. If we look at the mass screening, screening of whole population or subpopulation groups, irrespective of particular risk of contracting disease. And the example is the visual defect in screening for visual defect in school children. In high-risk screening, screening is selectively applied to high-risk group. High risk is defined on the basis of epidemiological studies and research. Screening of breast cancer and cervical cancers are the examples. Multiphasic screening, it is the application of two or more tests in combination to the population groups at a single point of time to screen a disease. The example is screening of tuberculosis through symptoms, X-ray, sputum smear, and culture. So this is to have the more extensive screening for and with more surety. And this is the multiphasic for a single disease. Then multiphasic screening include application of more than one screening test to detect more than one diseases simultaneously. Screening of pregnant women for HIV, hepatitis B and hepatitis C, and similar other tests can be applied in pregnant ladies. So this will be the multi-purpose screening. The opportunistic screening, where the patient or clients are visiting facility for some other purpose, and screening is offered for relatively rare diseases like VDRL in antenatal care. So these are different screening strategies. Now let's see the screening and other related tests. Sometimes the screening tests, they are simulating with other similar testing programs like contact tracing, case finding, and diagnostic tests. But they are different from each other. Let's see the formal definitions. The screening testing apparently healthy individuals who are not seeking health care in order to identify the disease or preclinical conditions, and this is used for public health screening program. On the other hand, contact tracing testing apparently healthy individual exposed directly or indirectly to infected person, and the objective of contact tracing are isolation and treatment and estimation of secondary attack rate. On the other hand, case finding testing of high risk individual to facilitate the case finding in clinical setting, usually used in sexually transmitted diseases or communicable diseases. The diagnostic tests, they are used to confirm or disprove the existence of disease in patients presenting with complaints or symptoms. The diagnostic test is usually differentiated from the screening test. Let's have more detail about the diagnostic and screening test. If we compare the screening test with diagnostic test, in screening test, the tests are conducted on apparently healthy population, while the diagnostic tests, they are conducted on sick or with some established clinical symptoms. And the screening tests are applied to groups or community, while the diagnostic tests are applied to the individual under consideration. And screening test, the initiative comes from the investigator or some health stakeholders or health authorities. Here the initiative is based on the patient complaints, signs and symptoms. In screening test, the objectives are predominantly prevention, and in diagnostic tests, the objective is to modify the treatment on the basis of test, or it is to confirm the clinical diagnosis. So these are the key differentiation from the screening and diagnostic tests. The screening benchmarks, there are certain points and intervals which are used in screening program. If we talk about the critical points, first is the disease onset point, possible preclinical diagnostic point, final diagnosis point before symptoms, point of usual clinical diagnosis. These are key landmarks, and then the time intervals include latent period or incubation period, lead time, screening time, survival time, and length time. Let's see these landmarks in detail. If we look at the natural course of the disease, the starting point A, and there is final outcome of the natural course of the disease, that may be recovery, disability, or death. And the A point is the time of disease onset. Pathological process is commenced and the disease is not clinically evident yet. And the second point is time of possible preclinical detection, marked as B. Here it is closer to the point A. Disease is possible to detect with available screening techniques before it is clinically manifested. So here we have the test that can preclinically detect the disease. Then C point is the final critical detection point. Final critical point of detection is the disease detected in pre-symptomatic phase. After that, it will be clinically evident as usual by its own sign and symptoms. And this is the point C, and this is very closer to the usual time of diagnosis, which is defined as the point where the disease is clinically manifested by its usual natural course, and that is the D point. So these are four important landmark in the natural course of the disease before the final outcome, that may be the recovery, death, or disability. Now this is the latent period between time B and time C. Let's have more detail about the latent period. The incubation and latent period. The incubation period, it is formally defined the time between the entry of infectious agent and appearance of the symptoms in case of communicable disease. So this is more specific term for communicable diseases. On the other hand, the latent period, a time between exposure of pathogenic agent and appearance of symptoms in case of non-communicable disease. So the latent period is the similar period as the incubation period, but this term is reserved for infectious disease and this is for the non-communicable diseases. If we look at the infogram, this is the natural course and the landmark is the onset of disease and the other landmark is the usual time of sign and symptoms. So this period is defined as latent or incubation period and this is the natural outcome. Now let's see the time intervals, other time intervals, but that is the detectable preclinical phase and the screening time. If we see this natural course and the landmark A, B, C already discussed, C, D, and the lead time, the time lapse from possible detection to the usual time of diagnosis by symptoms and signs. So this time fall between B and the point D. Now the other interval is the screening time from possible detection to the final critical point of diagnosis before appearance of symptoms and signs. So this fall between the point B and point C. This is the screening time. So we will see some fallacies in the screening. We look through these points. So the screening fallacies include lead time bias, length time bias, and selection bias. The lead time bias refers to the phenomena where early diagnosis of disease falsely makes it looks like people are surviving longer. This occurs most frequently in context of screening. So if we see this is the detectable preclinical phase and if we see the landmark, this is the survival time without screening and there is another example where screening is done and this is the survival time. If we look at the final outcome, that is the same for both diseases, but in case of screening, there is a screening time and this is the lead time where it looks to be falsely in evaluation that this time is included and although there is no change through the screening in the actual course of the illness, but this lead time make false impression and the people perceive to be survivor longer than the actual survival. That means there is no use of screening in this case. And then let's see the unbiased lead time, same the landmark, the time of diagnosis and time of possible diagnosis and time of usual diagnosis. This is without screening outcome and this is with screening survival time. If we look at this, this is the biased lead time which will be falsely included and this is the actual lead time which is benefited through the screening program. And if we look at this is the up to this point, this is the natural course of the survival and this is the any added benefit by the screening. So while evaluating the screening program through cohort studies, this time should be taken into care and the fallacies must be dealt in. So this is the lead time bias. Then length time bias. It is an overestimation of survival duration due to the relative early detection and longer survival slowly progressing cancers, whereas aggressive cancers detected late and survive shorter. The nature of cancer gave false impression of survival. So if we look at the examples of slow progressive cancer and aggressive cancers, let's see the natural course. Here is the onset and this is the outcome, and if we see the landmark, this is the clinical presentation of the cancer, and this is the asymptomatic period or pre-symptomatic period, and this is the symptomatic period in case of slow progressing cancer. And in aggressive cancers, this is the onset and this is the clinical presentation, and this is the shorter asymptomatic period and shorter symptomatic period. So by nature, this sort of cancer, if screening program is done, then this seems to be shorter duration by nature of the cancer. And if we see the this is the screening. Here the screening can be the cancer will become in the radar of screening early, and this cancer will come in the radar of screening late. And if we compare the length time from screening to the final outcome, this is the length time in slow progressing cancer. This is by nature is longer, and this is by nature is shorter. So while evaluating the screening program, this length time bias must be dealt in, and each specific disease must have its own mean length time, and to see the unbiased results of the screening program. So the selection bias is also another bias in screening. If we selectively do the screening program, and here is the example: women with family history of breast cancer, and if mammography and screening is done, and the 100 breast cancer death in 10 years. On the other hand, if 1000 women without family history of breast cancer and no mammography is done, then 50 breast cancer death in 10 years. So this is the selection bias, that these are already having high risk and the outcome is worse as compared to the program without screening. So this is the selection bias. Then validity and reliability of the screening test must be evaluated before they are utilized for the screening. What is validity? The validity of screening test is based on the accuracy of identifying disease and non-disease persons. On the other hand, the reliability is the ability of the test to give consistent results when repeated time and again. Let's see more details about the validity. The accuracy of the screening test can be determined by the comparing of screening results with some gold standard test. And ultimately, the indicators of accuracy are the sensitivity, specificity, negative and positive predictive values. If we see the reliability of all tests can potentially be affected by one or more of the following factors. And these factors include biological variability, and then instrumental variability, and then the observer variability, the variation of the personal observation at different times, and then intra-observer, when different observers are observing, then this variability can cause unreliability. So these are the factors leading to reliability, and the validity is validated through the gold standard test. So let's see now the question to be asked for organizing screening program. For organizing screening program, the questions are asked about the disease to be screened and screening test to be utilized for the screening and the intervention which is available. If we talk about the disease, the important question, is it important health problem? Is it natural history? Is the natural history well understood? Is there long latent period? Does early intervention can improve the outcome? And the question regarding screening test: is the test valid? Sensitivity and specificity is known. Is the test is reliable? Is the test simple and affordable? Is the test acceptable to patient or staff? Then for intervention itself, question: is the diagnostic facility available? Is the treatment effective and accessible? Cost effective and sustainable? Benefits outweigh the harms. So these are important questions to be as a prerequisites for organizing the screening program about the disease, screening test and intervention. As a conclusion, this screening is an essential tool for detection and intervention in early pathogenic preclinical phase. The knowledge of natural course of disease is essential to determine the detectable preclinical phase and screening time. The selected screening test for organizing of screening program must be inexpensive, easy to administer, and they must be reliable and they must be valid. So this was about the screening program. We will continue in the next session with the validity of screening test. Thank you for sparing your time.